وكفى السلام عليكم كدوا هذا برنامجka Arimaha Caalamka wararka ka jiran waliba ku mid aha wadanka Niger ama maamulka Niger iyo waliba qaaday tilaabo soo danshan ku Juliyo calaamad kasta oo ka turjumaysa Faransiiska oo wadankaasi la ka saaray markii nidaamka military isku wareegay iyadana taariikhaha Afrikaanka iyo sida halgeensho markaasi muhiim ay la ka dhaji meel kasta oo wadanka kamid ah barnaamijka Sinkayna Israa'iilna waliba duqeymo culus ka jeestay koonfurta Lubnaan walina markaasi meelasay la ka dilay دوغي مغالدنا بتياه ee koonfurta Lubnaan Ahmed Kahil iyo afar qofood oo markaasay kumida shaqaalaha maamulka barnaamijka Sinkayna qodobada kale Sinkayna waliba kumidaha 1.4 milyan ama 1.4 milyan oo arday ah iyo waliba mutadawacnimo aan ka biirana ciidamada Kuuriyada markaasay waqooyi talaabadan waliba la sheegay in bulshada ka goleeyeen sidoo ka horseeda lahaay dugaardarada Kuuriyada koonfureed diyaarna in dagaal galan barbaarta barnaamijka Sinkayna إسرائيل waliba qaadac kulantay xarunta midowga baarlamaanka adduunka dib markii inta badan wakiilada dalalka miisaska tuman iyagoona ka nagnagayaan Falastiin oo xor ah barnaamijkii hasiin ku gudbiyana qodobada kalena barnaamijka Sinkay waliba ku mid aha madaxweynaha Faransiiska Emmanuel Macron iyo waliba ra'iisul wasaaraha Israa'iil ka sheegay shirka golaha wasiirada soo suganya Netanyahu waa in uu soo ogaaday in wadansha iska dhisnya go'aamada qaramada midoobay taasoo la golay in Netanyahu laga baahan inuu soo hogaansama amarada qaramada midoobay Chicago shir arimaha dhaqaalaha lanka hadal oo ka dareerna Donald J Trump iyo madal ka azumi waa madal Greenback News oo soo su'aalo la ku weydiiyay qorshaha faad iyo siyaasaadka walanka qorshaysan horumarinta arimaha dhaqaalaha qodobadaas iyo warar kale iyo Sinkayna barnaamijka Arimaha Caalamka ee Warteelka Arlaadi amin fayla barnaamijka Arimaha Caalamka la dareertana maamulka Niger iyo waliba uu qaaday talaabo guud ahaan dalka uu samarkaasaytinka bedelow magacyadii astaamaha Faransiiska oo dalka la ka saaray markii uu qabsaday militariga walana markaasaytin magacyadii astaamaha la ka bedelay halgankiyo taariikhda Afrikaanka wadankan waliba waa wadan markaasaytii Afrikaanimada ka meel adag iyadana Faransiiska mudugmay siday walow la ka saaray nidaam militariga wadanka dalka maamulaya dadkiyana waliba masqantiyo qolobtiyo la ka adkeeyay in Faransiiska cadowshay isla markaasna wadankeena ka baahayti haddana waliba dadka wili la ka dadaalahaasi iyo ka mintida lahaayeen xuquuqda Afrikaanka sida Afrikaanka taariikhan lay iyo awooda Afrikaanka il kasto kamid ah wadanka iyana waliba la ka dhajiyay calaamadaha Afrikaanka iyo taariikhdiyo barnaamijka la dareertan duqeyn iyo Israa'iil ka jeesideen koonfurta dalka Lubnaan duqeynta waliba yahay soo sii socota walin la ka dilay duqeyn magaalada Bitiya ee koonfurta Lubnaan Ahmed Kahil iyo afar kale oo markaasi shaqaalaha maamulka ee Libaxi ka tirsan xaruntiyodan ku gudi jiraan diyaarinta gargaaranka tirgalay dadka reedka ee duqeymaha markaasi idoosho hanka bogtaalan Kuuriyada waqooyi xaalad dagaal wajahayay Kuuriyada koonfureed saayan markii xaalad taagtaag siyaasadeed la geliyay ciidamada militariga iyo taangiyaal la hatooy xuduuda 1.4 milyan oo arday markaasi arday barbaaraya mutadawacnimo maalmo ila dhaafiyeen ka biireen ciidamada militariga Kuuriyada waqooyi tilaawadan waliba la ka sheegay bulshada Kuuriyada waqooyi iyo ka jawaabeen xadgudubka dhuleed iyo daandaansiga Kuuriyada koonfureed diyaarna in markaasi dagaal dheer oo dhulsho ka difaacaan la galan Kuuriyada koonfureed sidii ka warantii wakaalada wararka dawladda maamulaha Kuuriyada waqooyi ee KCNA warbixinada baahidii wararka waa wakaalada wararka KCNA iyo waliba ka xaqay hadii dagaal dhii in taariikhda caalamka la ka tiriyo Kuuriyada koonfureed iyadoo hogaamiyaha Kuuriyada waqooyi Kim Jong Un oo ansixi qorshelinka dawaalanka jawaab diyaaradaha duuliyaha lahayna Kuuriyada koonfureed oo dhawaan galeen hawada Kuuriyada waqooyi Israa'iilna waliba iyo qaadacad kala kulantay xarunta midowga baarlamaanada adduunka Kuuriyada markii inta badan wakiilada dalalka iska baxeen iyagoo miisaska tumayaan wana ka qeyliyaan Falastiin oo xore hila hadalkan markaasay tiya kuweeri waa hila hadalka la kuweeri wakiilka Israa'iil barnaamijka la darartan Chicago waliba ku furmay shir muhiim ah arrimaha dhaqaalaha iyo ninkuduwaha Donald J Trump iyo su'aalo ka hordhigay qorshaha uu ka damacsan yahay horumarinta dhaqaalaha wadanka Mareykanka hadii uu guuleysay November doorashada eedan faat walaw ka qobdow canshuuraha yeelanka hadalahaya iyo saasato arrimo kala iyo madalan ninkuduwaha su'aalo ka hordhigay waliba madalaha qaban qaabatay Bloomberg News oo markaasii wargeys caalamiga Donald J Trump yana qorshay dhaqaalaha ka dubay.
Those companies with strong tariffs, because I'm a believer in tariffs. I'm not sure that you are. I don't think you are, but I congratulate you on your career. But to me, the most beautiful word in the dictionary is tariff, and it's my favorite word. It needs a public relations firm to help it, but to me it's the most beautiful word in the dictionary.
Tariffs, do you think that will bring in the revenues? To use another bipartisan group, Pearson Institute, they say they only bring in $200 billion. That is that's barely the cost of 2 of your promises.
Yeah, but that's like for what company are you talking about, okay? Look, I've brought in with tariffs, and I was just getting started. Then COVID came, and we had because I tell you what, I did a very good job in COVID. Nobody knew what the hell it was. I call it the China virus because I like being a little more accurate. But when that came, but we got hundreds of billions of dollars just from China alone, and I hadn't even started yet. But tariffs are two things, if you look at it. Number one is for protection of the companies that we have here and the new companies that will move in, because we're going to have thousands of companies coming into this country. We're going to grow it like it's never grown before. And we're going to protect them when they come in, because we're not going to have somebody undercut them. And I could give you an example of this if you want. Would you like me to? Because it just
Give me a quick example, then I will come back.
I just found out about it. So I've been talking about for the last year about Detroit and how horribly it has been. It's just horrible, because we've been talking about Detroit's coming back for 40 years. And it's never come back. And it's very dependent on the car industry. Well, they've lost 60% of the business over a long period of time. And what happened is I found out a friend of mine builds auto plants. That's all he does. He builds auto plants. That's what he's good at. He doesn't want to build an apartment. All he wants to build is, and he builds the biggest in the world. And for the last year and a half, if anybody's heard me speak, I was talking about Mexico as a tremendous challenge for us right now. Tremendous. China is building massive auto plants in Mexico. And they're going to build them, and they're going to take those cars and sell them into the United States. They're very near the border. And they're going to have all the advantages and none of the disadvantages. And that's going to be the end of Michigan. It's going to be the end of, frankly, South Carolina. Going to be the end of everything. So I've been talking about this, and I said to him about 9 months ago, I said, you know what? I want you to do me a favor, John. His name is John. I don't want to give his last name because he might not like it. But I said, I want to see an auto plant. I want to go and see one of these. You press a button and everything works, right? I want to see one of the big ones. He said, all right, good. I said, where do we go? I'd like to go to Michigan. I'd like to go to someplace in the United States. He said, no, we can't do that. Why? We're not building anything big in the United States. That's not where we don't build the big ones here. I said, where are you building the biggest ones? He said, in Mexico. We're building giant plants, the biggest plants anywhere in the world. In Mexico, I said. So you mean they're going to make cars cheaply? They have advantages over labor and other things, and they're going to sell them into the United States, and they're going to put Michigan out of business. Is that what? I don't know anything about that. All I do is build the plants. If you want to see a plant, we'll go to Mexico. I'll show you the biggest plant in the world. That was 9 months ago. I saw him, and I talked about it all the time because I think it's a serious threat to our country, because not only autos, but other things. So then I see him. 2 days ago, I was talking at another club, very nice club, and like this, except, I don't know, I think you people are probably even wealthier, okay? This was in Detroit, okay, which was appropriate. And I was showing them all sorts of charts about how their car, it's just gone down, it's like terrible. And I saw him, and I said, oh, how are you doing? How have you been? I said, could I ask you, how are those plants that you mentioned, those giant plants that you're building in Mexico, how is that coming along? Have you finished them? No, sir. They abandoned the project when they heard you're running. They abandoned the project when they saw that you were winning and doing well. I said, wow.
All the same.
Because I told them, and I said it publicly, They're not going to sell one car into the United States. I said, if I run this country, if I'm going to be president of this country, I'm going to put a 100, 200, 2,000% tariff. They're not going to sell one car into the United States because we're not going to destroy our country because I know you're an anti-tariff guy, but I'm the exact opposite. If I had, there was no other way I could have stopped them other than, what am I going to do, negotiate with Mexico or China? You're not going to get anything from that. I said I'm going to put a 100, 200, or 300. I'm going to put the highest tariff in history, meaning I'm going to stop them from ever selling a car into the United States. So I just see the guy by accident. I see him. He says, sir, they've abandoned it. And by the way, they built foundations. They were really rocking. They were going to do it. They thought that I was going to win, or maybe they're just holding off. I tell you this, if I don't win, those factories are going to wipe out this country. They're the biggest factories ever built for cars. They're going to wipe out our country. If she wins, and she doesn't know what the hell she's doing. If she wins, she's not going to be thinking about, I couldn't, every speech I made having to do with cars, but every speech I made having to do with tariffs, I'd mentioned that our country is being threatened by Mexico. Now, all of those things, beyond even the car companies, all of those things are now dead. They're dead. I asked him, will they start? Probably not. They're dead as a doornail. If she gets in, it'll start up again.
President Trump, I let you give your example. No, you talked a lot about tariffs. You look at the American economy, 40 million jobs rely on trade. It counts for 27% of GDP.
Okay.
If you cut that off, that's also going to have an effect on many, many business people here.
Yeah.
Tariffs also have another side. Isn't that something that you have to acknowledge?
No.
You could be plunging America into the biggest trade war since Smoot-Hawley.
But there are no tariffs.
You're going to stop. There are tariffs already at the moment.
There are no tariffs. All you have to do is build your plant in the United States, and you don't have any tariffs.
People, a lot of places like this, there are a lot of jobs that rely on foreigners coming here. You're going to basically stop trade with China. You're talking about 60% trade on that, 60% tariffs on that. You're talking, as you said, 100, 200% on things you don't really like. You're also talking about 10, 20% tariffs on the rest of the world. That is going to have a serious effect on the overall economy. And yes, you're going to find some people who will gain from individual tariffs. The overall effect could be massive in terms of the economy.
I agree it's going to have a massive effect, positive effect. It's going to be a positive, not a negative.
Well,
let me just tell you, I know how committed you are to this, and it must be hard for you to, spend 25 years talking about tariffs as being negative and then have somebody explain to you that you're totally wrong. It'll have a negative, it will have, I'll go a step further. If you don't do this, this country has no chance.
40 million jobs is a lot of jobs to rely on trade.
They're all coming back.
Those are 40 million jobs in America that rely on trade.
Are you ready? John Deere, great company, they announced about a year ago they're going to build big plants outside of the United States, right? They're going to build them in Mexico.
And you threatened them with tariffs and they stopped.
That's right. I said, if John Deere builds those plants, they're not selling anything into the United States. They just announced yesterday they're probably not going to build the plants, okay? I kept the jobs here, and I'll keep John Deere will stay here. And I'll tell John Deere, if you do build outside of the United States, you can if you want. For instance, India is a very tough country. It's not only China. China is the, I would say, probably the toughest. But there are a lot of tough. You know what's very tough? European Union. Our beautiful European countries, wonderful, wonderful. If you add them up, they're almost the size of us. They treat us so badly. We have a deficit. I said to Angela Merkel when she was there, she's not there anymore, I wonder why, but when she was there, I said, Angela, how many Chevrolets do we have in Berlin? Why, Donald, you have none. He said, that's right. How many Fords do we have in Frankfurt? I don't know, none. I said, that's right. You know how many cars we have?
guud ahaan waliba aan tahay afmeerana barnaamijkii Arimaha Caalamka ee Warteelka Arlaadi min fayla